Arcade games. We've all played them growing up, going to the arcade and having that awesome experience. I want to break down some of my top favorite arcade games of the 80s and 90s. Let's get into it, guys.
Top 3 Tuesday, what will it be? Sit back, relax, and listen to me. It's Countdown Show. 1, 2, 3. It's Top 3 Tuesday, best day of the week.
So if you're like me, I grew up in the 80s and have gone to lots of arcades, but maybe you're a little bit younger and you still got to experience those before lots of them went away. We could still now go to Dave & Buster's to enjoy some newer arcade games, or maybe even barcades that offer the original experience of pinball games and arcade games in a cool setting like that. So let's get into some of the ones that I thought were pretty awesome. One of the classic arcade games has to be Tetris, the classic puzzle game. Tetris, players complete lines by moving differently shaped pieces, which descend onto the playing field. The completed lines disappear and grant the player points, and the player can proceed to fill the vacant space. The game ends when the playing field is filled. This game is definitely addictive, has a great soundtrack, and makes you put those quarters in to get the high score. Next one on my list is Rampage. Players take control of a trio of gigantic monsters. George, a King Kong-like gorilla transformed from human form by experimental vitamin. Lizzie, a dinosaur lizard transformed by radioactive lake. And Ralph, a giant werewolf transformed by a food additive. All these monsters are trying to survive against onslaughts of military forces. Each round is completed when a particular city is completely reduced to rubble. Such a fun game, just destroying buildings, beating up the tanks and planes, and eating people while throwing up if you eat the wrong item. Really cool. Switching gears, going on to a favorite racing game, Crusin USA. Crusin USA, branded as the first of the Ultra 64 platform collaboration between Midway and Nintendo. Players race down one-way courses consisting of streets vaguely based on real-life locations, while doing their best to avoid various road hazards such as oncoming traffic and construction. Players choose between 7 different cars with either an automatic or manual transmission. The environments include Golden Gate Park, San Francisco, to Washington, D.C. Unlike most racing games, there is an option to change the music by pressing the music button. This was definitely fun to sit in the driver's seat at the arcade and just go racing, changing the tunes, pretending like you're driving a real car. Really, really fun game. Another one I don't see people talk a lot about, which is a dual-stick shooter game called Smash TV. Now you use the dual sticks for moving, avoiding enemies, and collecting prizes, and the other one is for aiming, where you're shooting your weapon. This is in the same vein as 1982's Robotron 2084. The plot centers on a dystopian television show during the future year of 1999, where one of 2 lucky contestants must shoot their way to fame and fortune. The show is filmed in front of a live studio audience with broadcast via satellite worldwide. The goal of the game show is to kill or be killed. And once all the challenges in each area have been massacred, the contestants will proceed to survive the next gauntlet. This definitely also reminds me of the Running Man movie, in that future where people are coming after you. I'm sure they had some inspiration on that, but really fun game. Well, there's got to be some fighter games on this list, so I'm definitely saying check out Final Fight. Final Fight can be played up to 2 players simultaneously, and before the game begins, the player chooses between the 3 main characters, Haggard, Cody, and Guy. Each has their own fighting style and attributes. You fight your way through the mean streets of Metro City in hopes to rescue the mayor's daughter, Jessica, from the Mad Gear gang. This one is super fun to play with a friend, going through the streets there, beating up everyone, grabbing some meat, apples to get some more health, or grabbing a pipe. The awesome weapons, just hitting the bad guys with. So cool, so fun, and it makes you put those quarters in. Now, taking a step back to some more racing, I played this a ton in the arcade. It had 3 steering wheels you can choose from, and the name of that game is Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Super Off-Road. In the game, up to 3 players compete against each other or the computer in racing around several top-view indoor off-road truck tracks of increasing difficulty. Wow, that's a tongue twister. There are 8 different tracks and 99 races altogether. All races are raced more than once. First place results earn the player points to continue in the championship and money, with which they can upgrade their truck or buy nitro. The goal is to reach the end of the season with the most money earned. Super fun. I just love spinning the wheel to get the car going. Even, when I didn't have quarters and I was at the arcade, you could just kind of pretend you're playing it. And definitely one of the fighting games that had a huge impact on arcades, and that is Street Fighter II. Street Fighter II improved many of the concepts introduced in the first game, including the use of special command-based moves and a 6-button configuration, while offering players a wider selection of playable characters, each with their own fighting style, and introducing the combo system. Yep, I just remember going to my local Quick Stop, and they had a Street Fighter cabinet in there. It was so cool to watch the older kids play this machine, doing the special moves. The first time I seen a Hadouken, I was like, what is that? So finding out all the characters' special moves was so much fun. Well, moving into my top 3 selection, guys. Before we get there, be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you guys are enjoying this video. So coming in at number 3 is... Number 3! Mortal Kombat! Of course, this has to make the list. Mortal Kombat was definitely one of the best games in the arcade. When I first saw Scorpion take off his mask and burn someone alive, life-shattering. Developed and published by Midway in 1992, the game focuses on several characters of various intentions who enter a martial arts tournament with worldly consequences. It introduced many key aspects of the Mortal Kombat series, including the unique 5-button control scheme and gory finishing moves called fatalities. So many things in this game just stand out. I loved when you beat the person without taking damage. Flawless victory. All the catchphrases in that. Finish him! Scorpions, get over here. Ah, so great. And, I actually ended up meeting Daniel Pacina, who played Scorpion. Here's my picture right here. To Russ, get over here. Daniel Pacina, I got to meet him at Retro World, and he came back a few times. He actually did a small part in one of my movies that I've shot, RussLyman Saves Halloween. He was a great sport. But overall, this game was so awesome and inspirational to many fighting games in the future of that. Seeing all the special moves, the fatalities. It started the ratings for the video games because it was so gruesome.
Fatality.
Now, taking a step back from fighting games, we're going into my number 2 game that I played so much in the arcade.
Number 2!
And that game is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Just seeing this cabinet in the arcade was amazing. The side art with the Terminator on it, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then you had 2 Uzi machine guns to use shooting up the Terminators. Who wouldn't want to play this game? The story of the game falls in line with the movie Terminator 2 Judgment Day. To save the leader of the human resistance, John Connor, and his mother Sarah from the T-1000. The player takes the role of a T-800 Terminator cyborg already captured and reprogrammed by the human resistance and fights alongside them against Skynet in the year 2029. So I did end up picking up the game on Sega Genesis. It was ported to a lot of the home consoles, but not quite the same experience going to the arcade and having that gun, using it to shoot the Terminators, and it had like the missile button. So cool. Definitely sunk a lot of quarters into this game. I remember playing it at Too Many Games convention. It was on free play, and me and the guy that were playing it couldn't even beat the last guy. It was so hard. You just had to basically just keep pumping in those quarters and prayed and hoped you won the game. Alright guys, before we get to my number 1, I reached out to you on Twitter and asked you what is your favorite arcade game. Let's hear what you had to say. Aldo responded with The Lost World Jurassic Park. It's right up there with House of the Dead, a truly holy grail of light gun games. Square Peg says, legitimately one of my absolute favorite machines is the Speed Racer cabinet. Very cool. I never seen this before in the arcade. TJ Kitsune says, this one because I poured a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it to keep it running. A Sonic arcade cabinet. Again, I don't think I ever seen this one before. I don't know if this is a custom-made arcade cabinet, but looks pretty awesome. Captain Retro's favorite arcade is Burger Time. Gotta love that side art right there. Do You Nerd says, the Mario Kart arcades, I can't get enough and so want a home port if nothing else. Lady Lacy really liked the Luigi's Mansion arcade. That was really fun and well done. And you can play those arcades at Dave & Buster's. Those are some of the new arcade games that come out and people can enjoy. Michael B. the Game Genie says, the G.I. Joe arcade machine. I definitely remember playing this slightly, not a whole bunch because I don't think I've seen it in many arcades, but definitely a great time. David responded and said, a Mr. Do, love it! More than the well-known Dig Dug. Certainly a classic arcade game. Dr. NES says, a Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate Tekken Tag Tournament in NBA Jam. All cabinets I definitely played in some quarters into. Well guys, that brings me to my number 1 arcade game that I've had so much fun with.
Number 1!
And that game is Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct, released in 1994, plays like many other fighting games in which the player controls a character to beat an opponent in a one-on-one encounter. The game borrows the attack sets of Street Fighter and is also inspired by finishing moves from Mortal Kombat. There are also several features that distinguish it from other franchises. A double health bar, automatic combos, finishing moves, and humiliations, and the Ultra Combo and Combo Breaker. Combo Breaker! This game was a blast. The side art, Spinal on the side of there, just looked awesome. Intimidating, skeleton with a giant sword. Killer Instinct, even the name, you're like intrigued. What is this game? You know, it had that edgy feel with like Mortal Kombat, but some combos going in with Street Fighter, so you're taking the best of both and combining them. Now, I went to my local arcade, Milford Rec or Smiles, and watched lots of people play this game. I always didn't have a quarter to play, so it was great to just watch other people doing the finishing moves, humiliations, and the combos. The first time I find out you can use Cinder to do a 99-hit combo was amazing. And then you get to unlock the end boss, and you can use him as well to do a 99-hit combo. Because then at the arcade, once you unlocked him, you know, it stayed on the arcade. So it took a while, a couple months, till people figured out how to do it. But so cool, so awesome. I loved it when they ported it to Super Nintendo, and I got the strategy guide right there. There it is. It's got all the moves in there, the combos, the finishers, Fulgar, so cool, Orchid, the classic characters. So many great things about this game, memories, playing it. So I've heard Arcade 1UP is going to be releasing a Killer Instinct cabinet. So maybe I could try to find room to put that somewhere down the line, because I already got my Street Fighter one, and I modded it so it's a MAME cabinet so I can play plenty of arcade games, but for some reason I can't get Killer Instinct to load. I downloaded different ROMs to see if I could get it to work, and I can't. I can play the Super Nintendo version, but not the arcade one, the one I love so much.
Awesome victory!
Well guys, this was a fun list to put together. Arcade games in the 80s and 90s. Some you should check out, you might remember, or maybe you never heard before. If I didn't mention one that you guys played before, leave it in the comment section down below. I could give it a shot and see if I'll enjoy it. Well, that's it for this one, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Be sure to come back to the channel because I got another game hunting video coming out where I pick up But if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to come back to the channel. I got a game hunting video coming out Thursday where I pick up. As always, guys, I'm RussLyman, and keep your world fun bit by bit. I'll see you next video.
And I want to give a super shout out to all my Patreon supporters: Joey Ellis, George Sandoval, Joseph Riviera, Nintendo, Kelly Moore, Darianne Chiba, David Apuzzo, Maynard, Joe Sheevy, TechWizX, Matthew Hannigan, Alex Kaz, Ayan Oshi, Ganaman, Rock Solid Productions, and everyone on my Patreon. Link below if you want to join, and I'll see you later.